All right, Broncos country. Once again, we are back, but this is a special edition of Mile High Monsters because I have one of my best buddies and most respected voices in Broncos country. It's Mario Batanzi. Mario, how are you, sir? How you been?
I'm doing fantastic. And anytime that I get to hop on and do a show with you, Mike, it just doesn't get any better than that.
It
When you
doesn't.
asked me at the beginning of the week, will you do a show with me? I moved some stuff around my schedule because I said, no matter what, I am not going to miss hopping on the Mile High Monsters podcast
Mhm.
with Mike Carmel, whatever your name is.
Yeah. Yeah. And your show, Altitude, something, whatever it's called on Let's Talk Broncos, is great. I watch it every.
Well, it's not, just so everyone knows, it's not called Altitude Advantage. It's the Better Altitude show that's available to the public.
Is there an altitude advantage now? Did somebody copy you again?
No, somebody tried to use altitude advantage, or I'm sorry, altitude adjustment, and I
Oh,
said, "No, that's
sorry.
my show." And so they pivoted, and instead of going in a completely different direction, they kept altitude, which is understandable. And they went with advantage. But I still have the moniker AA. No one's ever used AA before
Except
to
Alcoholics
describe
Anonymous, of course.
anything. Oh, right. Yeah, there is that. I digress. Yep, altitude adjustment's where it's at. Ask anybody.
Altitude adjustment with Mario and the very handsome and sexy Patrick Chiotti. You can find them on youtube.com at Let's Talk Broncos. One of the best shows and most entertaining shows out there, maybe the best.
Arguably, yeah.
I tend to think I have it, but it's neither here nor there. It's so close, it's not worth arguing about. But what is worth talking about, Mario, and the reason I really wanted you to be here is a couple of reasons. First of all, before I get into the what ifs, which we don't do here because we're men.
And why is that, Mike? Why do we not do what ifs?
Because two things. One, winners don't make excuses.
It's
We
correct.
just get better. The Broncos are better than those organizations that make excuses. Specifically, the Sandy, what are they? Where do they are for now? Is
I
it
don't know.
San
Nobody out
Diego
there
now?
cares
The
about them
Chargers,
anyway.
wherever the
It doesn't
Chargers
matter
are,
where they go. They don't have a
and
fan base.
the Bills, who just fired their head coach, love to use what ifs and excuses. The Broncos don't do that. What the Broncos do is they go out and play who's in front of them. And if they lose, they tip their cap and they go get better. And that's exactly what this team's going to do. Having said that, let's take a quick look back at the 2025 season if you're okay with that. Because I'd like to
Yeah.
just present this to you Broncos fans out there sitting there right now, crying in your Wheaties. This was a historic season for the Denver Broncos. We tied the record for the most wins in a season, I think, with the 98 Broncos, if I'm correct. We finished 14-3 atop of the AFC West. The Chargers were 3 games behind us, and everybody seemed to be worried about them for a while. I don't know why. Chiefs weren't a factor. And whatever that other team is that moves every 5 minutes and fires a coach every year was not involved. This is just like the basics of why you should be celebrating. But we were 1 game away from the Super Bowl this year, Mario. Where does this rank? And maybe that's not a fair question, but this certainly is a top 5 Broncos all-time season. And coming up 1 game short of the Super Bowl should not in any way tarnish what an amazing ride this was.
Exactly. And I feel like when you look back on seasons with fondness, do you want to win the Super Bowl? Of course. Is that the ultimate goal? Of course. You want to go to a Super Bowl, you want to win it. We've been fortunate enough to see. I mean, you and I have seen 3 Super Bowls in our lifetimes. A lot of Broncos fans who are younger have seen at least 1 Super Bowl in their lifetime. But the success of a season can't and shouldn't be measured off of did you win the Super Bowl or even did you go to the Super Bowl. One of the most memorable seasons in Broncos history, Mike, was the 2012 Broncos, who famously beat the 12-4 Pittsburgh Steelers at home, the Tebow to DT pass. Does anybody talk about the fact that they got their lunch handed to them the following week by the Patriots? Like, embarrassed? No, nobody talks about that. And I'm not just saying that to prove a point. It's true. Probably the most exciting singular play that has ever taken place inside Mile High Stadium was Tebow to DT for the touchdown, the walk-off touchdown against a far superior team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't talk about the fact that they didn't go to the Super Bowl. We don't talk about the fact that they didn't win the Super Bowl. We talk about that play. We talk about the fact that they shouldn't have been there. They probably shouldn't have hosted a playoff game. They had no business even being competitive with the Steelers in that game. And yet, that is one of the most memorable singular games in the history of the franchise. And I think that's the kind of outlook that you need when you look at this season. Going in, the expectations were okay, you want to be a little bit better than last year when you won 10 games and snuck into the playoffs. You want a challenge to win your division. You want to host a home playoff game. And they exceeded all of those expectations. Number one seed in the AFC, won the AFC West, got to host 2 playoff games, which is incredibly rare, and fans should be eternally grateful. And again, you never know when you're going to be back. And so I think as more time goes on and we put more time in between that loss to the Patriots and into the future, people are going to look fondly back at this season. You know, Bo Nix set a record between regular and playoff wins for the most wins ever in a quarterback's first 2 seasons. All he does is win. They're going to look back at this season and think how many fourth quarter comebacks they had that had fans on the edge of their seats damn near week in and week out, regardless of the opponent. You know, they're going to think about how dominant the defensive front was, where they set a franchise record for sacks and led the league in sacks yet again. Those are the kind of things that I think, again, as more time goes on, people will focus on. And you're right, this season was one for the history books. And of course, there's always going to be an asterisk of, man, could you imagine what we would have done with Bo Nix? And I'll tell you right now, you don't have to imagine it. They're winning that game handily with Bo Nix, and they're probably winning the Super Bowl with Bo Nix. But they didn't have him. They came up just short, and we can look forward to next season. That doesn't diminish how entertaining and how incredible the 2025 season was.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because that leads us into, but what if? Now, I said this before. I'll say it tonight because I want you to hear it. I firmly believe, and I'm confident, we'll never know, that there's no way that Bo Nix loses a 10-7 game at home. There's no way. He has proven it over and over again that when we've needed him at the end of the game, he has not failed us one time. Ever. Never. So, but Patriots, congratulations. Good luck in the playoffs. They won the game fair and square. You can only play who's on the field when you play them. So, Mario, how is it that we as Broncos fans know and understand this, and teams like the Chargers or the Bills or several others don't seem to grasp that the game is played on the field with the players that you have? And talking about refs and injuries or the weather or this one play, if only he had a better offensive line, you can do that to the death. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't change anything. We all have that problem. And in my golf analogy, as you guys know, golfer, my golf analogy is when you play a tournament and it's blowing 20 miles an hour and it's misty rain, you can bitch about it all you want, but we're all playing in the same elements. It's like we're all dealing with the same stuff. Why do some teams have to fall back on that? What is the one difference between, say, the Denver Broncos and those teams that do that, in your opinion?
It's a short and simple and to the point answer. The Broncos franchise and the Broncos fan base is better. And I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that to be antagonistic. I'm not saying that to sound dickish, even though that's absolutely how it's coming off. But look at the track record. Bills never won a Super Bowl. They don't really know what success looks like and feels like. Chargers never won a Super Bowl. I think have only been to one or two in their history. They don't know what success looks like or feels like. And that's really what it comes down to. Had the Broncos beaten the Patriots, I don't think that you're seeing the same kind of excuses from Patriots fans as you're seeing from Bills fans. Not that they're better, because as a whole, they're generally terrible people, the massholes. But
Yeah.
they know what excellence looks like. They know what championships look like and what it takes to win championships. You have to be the best team on the given day that you are supposed to play. And at no point in their history have the Chargers or Bills ever been the best team at the end of the season and won the last game of the season. That's just the fact of the matter. Broncos fans know what it takes. The franchise knows what it takes. And despite not having Bo, and despite the weather, and despite all of these ifs that you could theoretically throw in, the bottom line is they could have and should have still won the game. And they didn't. So you know what we say as fans? Yeah, bummer. It sucks to get so close and not quite make it there. But we're going to reload. We're going to be even better next year and go from there. Like, it does absolutely nothing. Like, if you as a fan, if it makes you feel better to give an if statement, like, well, if this happened, if that happened, the fact of the matter is, like, we don't live in a reality where that's the case. They're like, we can't go visit alternate universes. This isn't Rick and Morty where you can just jump into a universe that you see fit. This is the universe that we live in. This is the reality that we live in. And regardless of what happened, you know, whether there were missed calls and the fumble and the missed field goals and going for it on 4th and 1 and all that other bullshit, the bottom line is they didn't win. And that's okay. They had a phenomenal season. Bo Nix proved that he's a top 10 quarterback in this league, and you can argue with the wall about that one. Sean Payton proved that he is one of the best coaches in the entire league, and anybody that's floating the idea of him getting fired is stupid, for lack of a better term. I didn't want to be rude, but that's just how it is. This team is going to be even better next year. Now, will they be the number 1 seed? Will they host an AFC Championship game again? That remains to be seen. But going forward, for at least the next several seasons, Mike, the expectation now is Super Bowl. And going into the season, a lot of people didn't realize, like, the expectation wasn't Super Bowl for fans. It was improve on what you did last year. And that should always be the goal. Continue to improve. And then if and when you win the Super Bowl, then your goal becomes defend your title. So we don't deal with ifs, because that's not going to change anything. And thinking of a theoretical situation is not going to make me feel better about the ultimate outcome.
Yeah. 2 things. One, expectations is the food that feeds disappointment. So whatever expectations you go into the season with, if your expectation was the Broncos will win a Super Bowl and lose in the AFC Championship game with an injured quarterback, congratulations. You met your expectations, and you're probably sitting there going, okay, but that's not the way it works. We set expectations, and if we don't reach those, we call it a failure. Now, the flip side of that is what you said. So these teams that have never won anything make excuses for not winning anything because it's their way of coping. And I'm a pretty empathetic person. But that kind of stuff, I think it's okay for them to be like, man, you know, if we could just get Justin Herbert a better offensive line, you know, that would really help the team. That's one thing. Saying, if Justin Herbert had a better line, we would have beat their ass. That's not the same thing. That's correct. Just crazy. You don't have a better line. It's a team game. I hate the fact that we've got to this point, Mario, where every matchup on every stupid national show is Bo Nix versus Josh Allen. That is not the way this game works. There are a lot of pieces and parts. There's coaching. There's players. I can't believe we do such a disservice to the other 52 players on the active roster. Or well, how does that work? 52, and then they have to.
Is 53, and then the practice squad guys, and then there's a 5 or 6 or whatever that are in.
However that shit like works. I'll leave that crap to Seegers and nerds like that. We don't
leave it to the nerds.
Nerds.
It's nerd stuff.
I should have had your nerd thing ready. I was going to have that ready. I didn't have it. But you get my point, though, right? Like it's a coping mechanism, but we don't do that here. We recognize our belief that it would have been a different game with Bo. But I'm never going to say to a Patriots fan, hey, we would have beat your ass if it wasn't for this, because that's just lame, right? We're better than that. We're a 3-time Super Bowl champion team. We know we lost to the Jaguars in '96, who was just not even close to being as good as that '96 team. I argue that might have been our best Broncos squad, and they didn't even make the Super Bowl because they got knocked out of it. And then they won in the next year, and they won in the next year. Could have been 3 in a row, but it wasn't, because we got our ass kicked by Mark Brunell and the Jaguars for some reason. Came out of nowhere.
Weren't they an expansion team? Was that it was like their first or second year? They were a brand new franchise.
Very new. I don't know if it was their second year or whatever, but they were, this little wild card team that came out of nowhere and then just beat the crap out of us. I mean, there was a blocked punt, and it just all went to crap from there. And that kind of stuff happens. But I just wanted to get that in the rearview mirror, get that out there. We don't do that here. I would like to run down a few things, though. Now, are you done with the no more ifs thing? Did you say what you wanted to say? Because I know you feel very strongly about this.
The only thing that I wanted and needed to say is that franchises who implement the if, they don't know what it's like to win, and they're just inferior fan bases and they're inferior franchises. And the proof is there. I mean, we discussed the Chargers and we discussed the Bills. You want to talk about Jags fans, who rallied behind the fact that they're a small market team. It's like, sorry for pointing out that your franchise exists in a small market. And Jag fans were so insecure and so insignificant that they continued to post the score of the Broncos-Jags game. It's like, yeah, you guys won. And then what happened? You had a home game and you got knocked out by a superior team. A team, by the way, we beat the following week. So I guess hang a banner.
Market team, by the way.
Yeah, a smaller market. You got out small marketed. Congratulations. So go ahead and hang a banner for beating the number 1 seed on their home turf, a month with a month left in the season. Congratulations. And clearly, like, that's how you know that a fan base has never experienced winning and has never experienced like the top of the mountain in going to a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl, because you hang your hat on stuff like that. And that's not what winners do.
Now, I will ask you, this isn't a test, but it kind of is. Thanks, Cody.
Thanks, Cody.
Give me the names of the 7 teams that made the playoffs in the AFC this year, starting with the number 1 seed, Denver Broncos.
All right. Broncos, Patriots, Jaguars, Steelers, Texans, Bills, Chargers.
Now, I knew that you would know that. Okay. Now, the reason I know that you know that is because I know you. 2 years from now, in fact, next year, here's what we're going to remember. Here's what everybody's going to remember. That, guessing, the Seattle Seahawks beat the crap out of the Patriots and won the Super Bowl. Sure. Maybe. Don't know.
Likely.
We are going to remember that we almost made a Super Bowl. The Jaguars fans are going to remember that they lost to the Bills. The Bills are going to remember. Yeah. They're all individually their teams are going to individually remember things. But as a whole, NFL fans are going to remember who played in the Super Bowl for a little while. They're going to know who won, and then they're just going to know who won, because it's the only thing that matters.
It's the only thing that matters.
Sometimes I have to stop and think about, like, I know the Broncos beat Carolina in Super Bowl 50. I know that in Super Bowl 33, the Broncos beat the Atlanta Falcons with Dan Reeves, which was crazy because Dan
It
Reeves
was a fun revenge game. Yeah.
Revenge game. And then, of course, Green Bay in our first Super Bowl for Super Bowl 32. Now, if you ask me what the next Super Bowl was after that, or who won it, or who played in it, even a guy like me who kind of lives for this stuff, it's pretty gray. Like, I'd probably have to do some reference stuff. So be happy that you got there, all of you teams that made the playoffs, except the Chargers. Screw you guys. But like, recognize that your team was better than most teams and got there and had a chance. Go build on that. Don't complain about it. I need to hit this.
You want to be remembered, win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, that's immortality, right? Win a Super Bowl. Our guy, $20 super chat. Empty the clip and trade for Sadiq. Let's go.
I know you're not a big draft guy, Mike, so I'll just clarify. Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. Yeah. Tight end out of Oregon, absolute monster. And Dak and I have talked a bunch about, what we would like to see the Broncos do. And I'll just touch on it really quick and then we can transition. But I had tweeted out recently that I will be team do not draft at 30. And I don't see that changing for any reason. And I say that because they either need to trade their first round pick straight up for a wide receiver one. Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, call about Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown. I don't know what the availability looks like. I don't know what, those trades would look like. Go get a wide receiver one. And if, those teams aren't in the market or those guys aren't on the block, then I want them to trade up. I'm pretty sure they have 9 picks. And the team is at a point right now where they're increasing the salary cap, of course. Russ's salary is off the books. You still have 3 more years of cost-controlled Bo Nix, which is fantastic, before you have to really dig into your savings and pay your quarterback. They got time, and so this is their window. They need to be aggressive in free agency, fill all of the gaping holes that you have. And so my mindset is you are selling the farm, empty the clip like Dak is saying, and go up and get Sadiq. I don't know where he's projected. I've seen a lot of different projections. Some people have him kind of in the early teens, like somewhere between 12 and 19. Some have him dropping kind of to the mid to late 20s. Be aggressive and go get your guy. The tight end position has been a vacuum. It's been a black hole in Denver for as long as I can imagine. I mean, I can't remember the last time that they had a truly dominant pass-catching wide receiver. Probably Julius Thomas for those 2 years that he was here. And before that, probably Shannon Sharp. So go out and you get Kenyon Sadiq. Immediate, gigantic upgrade.
Scheffler was a sleepy, good player.
Scheffler was solid for a couple of years until they skipped
like
him away.
Those guys, but I mean, at least we had somebody.
Yeah. Well, and that's the craziest thing is you look at the Sean Payton offense and he hasn't had a tight end here worth of salt. And that was why they went after Dulcich. And obviously Dulcich kind of flamed out. We know what happened with that. And they've been moderately aggressive in trying to find a tight end. They went out and got Evan Ingram. And of course that didn't pan out. Troutman's kind of just a guy. Atkins is just a guy. Lucas Krull is just a guy. You go out and get a Kenyon Sadiq, who is a very, very, very good pass catcher, and he can block. That's who you need. And if you're one of these people who are we're not trading all the way up for a tight end, that doesn't pan out, get the Noah Fant taste out of your mouth, okay? You can't base draft decisions off of failures in the past. You look at the past couple of years, there were people telling me that the Broncos shouldn't take Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren if they had dropped them at 20 last year. There were fans who, if a quarterback wasn't an option, didn't want Brock Bowers the draft before and are dead set against tight ends in the first round because a lot of them flame out. Well, I have news for you. The majority of first-round picks flame out. If you get more than 50% of first-round picks that hit, then that's an anomaly. What we can do is base it off of the information that we have now. And Kenyon Sadiq is head, shoulders, knees, and toes above the tight end 2 in this draft. The free agent class, it's if you want to overpay for Kyle Pitts, I guess I could kind of be talked into that. But I'm not completely sold on him. If Cade Otton becomes available, I think that's an option. People are going to pound the table for Isaiah Likely. Not a fan. People are going to pound the table for Chig Okonkwo, who was one of the worst blocking tight ends last year. Not necessarily a fan. I mean, like Tennessee couldn't figure out how to use him, and they had no pass catchers. So if you think that he's an upgrade over Evan Ingram, I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, in this instance, I'm all in on the Kenyon Sadiq trade, or even if you go even higher and you get one of the three big three wide receivers in this class between Tate, Tyson, and Lemon.
Mm-hmm. So I do want to back up to Evan Ingram. Like, I think now I say this every show. I'm not an analyst, nor do I pretend to be. But every time Evan Ingram got the ball in his hands, he looked pretty damn good to me.
He did.
And
it was getting the ball in his hands. That was the problem.
It couldn't and his separation numbers were pretty damn good. I think Sean was under. Now, we fired some people, so we're going to find out where all
them
this
scapegoats.
Yeah, we're maybe right. We're going to find out if those were scapegoats or if whatever message Sean was giving was not quite trickling down to where it needed to. And I think that might be what happened with Lynch in the cornerback room, unless you have other information. But I did like what you said earlier today or yesterday about not selecting a player at 30. That probably is a sweet spot to trade back for us. And I also loved, and I hope we're not the only two that feel this way, but Tate, Tyson, Lemon, Sadiq. So our wide receiver room, first of all, Sean always says that we like our room. We like the room. I like the room. I like the room too. But what it's missing is a true superstar number one receiver. Because if you take the existing room that we have, guys, and our wide receiver coach is gone, so they're going to learn how to catch the damn ball and run their routes properly. So let's hope. However, that room actually has some good talent in it. You saw what happens when Mims gets involved. You saw how incredibly handsy Pat Bryant is. Like, the guy catches everything like a pro receiver. He looks like a pro receiver. Cortland Sutton always drops the first pass thrown to him, but makes the incredible catches and was our leading receiver again. Touchdowns.
You know who Sutton reminds me a little bit of, Mike, and he's a much better receiver than this guy, but he's got some Ashley Lilly to his game. So if you remember, Ashley Lilly made some of the most remarkable, unbelievable catches that you will ever see, and had a lot of drops and it was always the easy ones. And that's how it feels with Cortland. It feels like Cortland never drops the impossible balls. It's always, like the dig routes or the quick slants or the 10-yard outs that are right in his hands, and their concentration drops. And I think that's what's frustrating. I think that's what's frustrating is, like, you've seen what he's capable of, and he's got to make the easy ones too.
I know. I just, Ashley Lilly for me was such a disappointment. I can't go there, but I do understand why you make that comparison, because Ashley Lilly would literally make the craziest catches. Who was the wide receiver we had that we brought in as a free agent?
Brandon Lloyd.
Oh my God. Like, that guy.
He was unbelievable.
He was like one of the best receivers, like most underestimated. Like, let's give me a 25-year-old Brandon Lloyd on this team, and we got something, man. I'm telling you that. I mean, if we're going to talk about old receivers that used to be here, I like this from Jay. How this Mile High Mike tried. It's not going to work, Jay. There's Mile High Mario. There will only always be Mile High Mario. I'm honored.
It's Meter High Mike, because he lives in Nebraska.
Don't tell people where the Carmelini Ranch is now. I got a lot of fans out there.
I mean, it's not Nebraska.
Don't out me. Don't out me like I work for ICE or something, man. I have to start wearing a mask.
I'm going to dox you.
And Dak, again, thank you so much for the super chats, guys. Super chats keep everything going here, so we do appreciate.
Keep the lights on.
Let's do a quick rundown, see what everybody's up to. Say hi to our friends. David Youngkin, this season was great. When was the last time we were 15-3? 98. Did we make it to 15? Don't test me on that. Let's see.
Wait, total wins in the
2015 we made
season,
it
like
to
they
12, we
won
went
they
12
won
and 4.
14 during the regular season,
Yeah.
and then the 3 playoff games. So it's like the most they've ever won in a season total, including the playoffs, is 17. This team won 15 games, and I think it was the 3rd time in franchise history that they've hit the 14 win mark during the regular season.
And that's why Mario gets the big bucks. Cody, hey Cody, what's up? Thanks for that, man. Keep killing it, love it. Vic, it was our year. Well, it wasn't. Could have been, but it wasn't. But next year, I think it can be. And that's because I'm ever the optimist. We didn't let it slip away, though. But, you're one of my favorite guys, Vic. But we didn't let it slip away. It was a broken ankle. It was Brandon Allen. It was all those things. It's a team sport. Football's very violent. Some teams stay healthy. Some teams don't. We had a 2-year run of very healthy. And this year, that bill came to pass. Any comment to Vic there about letting it slip away?
No, I mean, I get why he thinks that, but it didn't. I mean, it's brutal the way that you lost. It sucks. Yeah, but I mean, they didn't let it slip away. They lost. But you know what? They'll be back. They'll be better next year, and it's okay.
Sorry about your bad luck. This is Salbeck 143. Sorry about your bad luck with Nix, but I love the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl. Yeah, great for you if you're a Pats fan. Yeah, it's got to be super exciting for you guys. When you have a Peyton Manning or you have a Tom Brady and they leave, it's just like, now what? Like we'll never have that again. Well, guess what? You guys have it again. And yeah, good luck to you guys. Thanks for being in here on the show. So, and I like the fact that he calls Bills fans delusional. So loser franchise. So you win extra
Which is
points
correct.
as a Pats fan. So here we go. Let me get out of the chat here for just a second. I've got to get you. I only get Mario on here so often, guys. So I got to pick his brain. The Pro Bowl. Can we just never talk about the Pro Bowl again after this, except in sort of an ironic fashion? Because the Pro Bowl used to be something. And now,
but it hasn't been anything
it's been a long time. But nobody woke up to it until a couple years ago, where it just was like I've got one here I saw today that guess what quarterback made the Pro Bowl?
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. See, I was hoping you wouldn't say Shedeur Sanders because that was a week ago and it was whatever.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw somewhere that this is the first Pro Bowl Joe Flacco has ever made.
No,
I don't know, and that didn't sound right to me, but someone said it.
Yes, it's his first career selection of the Pro Bowl.
Which, you know what? Good for him. And I'm going to say this, Mike, and this is the only thing that I want to say about the Pro Bowl. Is it ridiculous that Shedeur went to the Pro Bowl? Yes. Is it ridiculous that Joe Flacco was in the Pro Bowl? Yes. Are you an idiot for getting mad that Shedeur Sanders went to the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I don't get mad about anything.
Who freaking cares about the Pro Bowl? I mean, where was this outrage when Trevor Siemian, remember that? Trevor Siemian made the Pro Bowl. Not a lot of people remember that because they got far enough down the alternate line that they're like, F it, Trevor Siemian, you're up. Snoop Huntley, a couple of years ago, who I think had more interceptions than touchdowns, just like Shedeur, also made a Pro Bowl. Where was your outrage? You don't care that he made the Pro Bowl or that someone undeserving made the Pro Bowl. You care that it was Shedeur because it feeds your hatred of all things Shedeur. Now, I'm a CU guy. You're a CU guy. So obviously, I love Shedeur. We love Shedeur. Should they have retired his number? Absolutely not. But you know why I don't care? It doesn't affect me at all whatsoever. And you know what? I think it was honestly smart of them to put Shador in the Pro Bowl because more people are going to watch.
You're gonna watch the
And if
Pro
you
Bowl.
think, and if you, yeah, because they already got people that aren't going to watch the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to watch the Pro Bowl.
No.
I'll look at highlights on Twitter, little clips of the stupid dodgeball game that they do. Okay, but like more people are going to tune in if Shador's there. Point blank period. That's just how it is. You might love him or hate him. It doesn't matter. It's the same reason that people were tuning in to watch the Chiefs because of Taylor Swift. Like it brings an audience, and you can either accept that or keep your head buried in the sand.
Yeah, I mind talking about it. In fact, I enjoy talking about this stuff, but the manufactured, whatever anger or whatever that people find,
that's exactly what it is.
To be mad about something is amazing to me. It's like this is like being mad about an Emmy Award for some soap opera that you don't watch. Nobody gives a shit. It's like, why are you upset? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
They're just looking for things to be mad about.
Yeah, let's be mad. I need to be mad at somebody. Let me check my bookmarks here while I got you here. The Ravens, now Declan Doyle is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Now he is Broncos offensive assistant, or he was. Does this open the door even more, Mario, for Davis Webb? Is that the direction the team's going, or are we going to get a shocker and it's going to be someone else? What's your prediction sitting here right now? Are we heading for a Davis Webb OC, or are we ready?
I'd be shocked if Davis Webb is not the Broncos offensive coordinator going into the 2026 season. He withdrew from the Raiders job, which is hysterical, that he would prefer to be the offensive coordinator for the Broncos than potentially the head coach for a train wreck franchise that is the Las Vegas Raiders. I hope that they give him more responsibility than Lombardi, and honestly, whoever they hire, I hope they give more responsibility than Lombardi, because really Lombardi's entire being was just to like basically be in lockstep with Sean Payton. He wasn't giving any pushback. He wasn't giving any constructive criticism. It was one of Sean Payton's buddies who eventually became a scapegoat. And so I'm hoping that if and when Davis Webb becomes the offensive coordinator, that they involve him in game planning, maybe let him call plays in certain situations, but he has a very clear, very good relationship with Bo Nix. And I was a little bit worried at the thought of potentially losing him, just because I think he has been instrumental in Bo Nix's success and in his development, to have a guy. And then honestly, those are the kind of guys that make the best coaches, Mike. Guys that were quarterbacks in the NFL, but they were career backups, career third string guys. They have to be more well prepared than anybody. Because at the drop of a hat, you could, be like Jarrett Stidham and be tasked with winning a football game despite getting no live reps for 2 seasons, right? And so, you look at Davis Webb and the fact that he was already a hot name literally the year after he retired, the year after he was done playing football. And I think it's imperative for like the continuous growth of your franchise to keep people like that around.
Yeah. The Davis Webb Bo Nix connection, like they're buddies too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
they're not that far apart in age. It's
right.
like
True.
Davis Webb is my age, and Bo Nix is
like 30, 35.
We get along great.
But the thing is, and I like the whole ankle gate bull crap. Like Sean and Bo are fine, guys. I think Kodiak
slow off season already, Mike.
Yeah.
People gotta this freaking Denver media, man. They gotta make mountains out of molehills. It's what they do.
I think Kodiak said it best last night when I brought it up, and I'm like, can we just put this to bed real quick? This is, and he said, you know what? It's like a married couple who got in a little argument in front of their friends and they saw it. And now everybody wants to make a big deal out of it when literally 15 minutes.
So true.
15 minutes
and the friends
later,
are like, ooh, I hope they're in
for
counseling. They're
divorce
not
or
doing
something.
well. Yeah,
And
that
15
was
minutes
not
later,
good.
they're in bed fighting over the remote, decide which show they're going to watch.
Exactly.
Literally, they've already forgotten about that. So
Sean called him Ferris Bueller, for God's sakes. Like, there was a reason for that.
A little Ferris in him. I love it. You know what? And Sean would never do well without a quarterback who would tell him to shut his fat face up and let him mind his own business. These two are absolutely perfect for each other. Absolutely perfect. But here's the thing. Lombardi's gone because Sean fired him. Now, this is a guy that Sean spent 15 years with. They're good friends. They respect each other. Lombardi even saw it coming. Whatever Sean wanted to see on the field, because he designs the offense and designs the plays and then hands it off. He's not seeing that. He's like, what are we doing? I told you, well, you know, you can't argue with that. But what Webb can do is say, Sean, I spend more time with Bo than you do. This is what he does really well. And he kind of sucks at this. Let's get together and work this out. That's the kind of marriage I see working there. So I'm kind of excited about it. And I know it's hopeism because I don't know that would happen, but I really feel like it sets up well for that, Mario, because think about like quarterback's closest relationship on the team is always the quarterback's coach. Like he's the go-between, right? Between the head coach has a lot on his plate. Davis Webb has a lot on his plate, but it's centrally around Bo. And I think this could be a really, really strong. Now, I'm not buying into all the play calling stuff. Davis Webb called a preseason game once with Jared Stidham, and they went off. If Sean Payton wants to try it in the preseason again and see, fine. Or if it's a blowout win, think about it this way. If it's a blowout win, say we're winning handily against somebody next year, and he's like, "Hey, Davis, why don't you call the second half and see how it goes?" I mean, ease into it, but I don't see Sean Payton. He's only like let somebody call plays like 3 times in his whole life. Like he's just not. Yeah, it's just not going to.
The thing with Lombardi, it's like the scene from Office Space where they sit down with him and Sean Payton and the Walton Penner groups are probably
what would you say you do
what
here?
is it? what is it that you would say it is? What is it you would say you do here? He doesn't know.
I'm a people person.
There's a reason. There's a reason that Davis Webb was getting so many interviews and was such a hot candidate, and not a single solitary person wanted to interview Lombardi. And he'll probably be brought in as like a consultant or, a running backs coach or like something to that level, unless it's a franchise that's really, really down on its luck and just desperately seeking anything that inexplicably makes him their offensive coordinator.
So is now Isaiah Likely, is he listed as a tight end?
He's a tight end.
The Ravens, right? Is it the Ravens or is it?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. He's a
tight end,
number 2 tight end.
So David Talks Broncos, my co-host every Thursday. Thank you for hopping in the chat. I guess you don't have anything better to do. You should just come on the show if you're going to talk smack. But it's not that I hate Isaiah Likely. I really like him. I just don't think that we would use him if we have him. And I also think Evan Ingram would be great if we decided to use him because he's.
I think Isaiah Likely is fine. He's had 3 really, really good games in 2 seasons.
Is that true? Okay. You can tell.
Probably.
I'm not sitting around watching a bunch of Likely film, but I've seen him do pretty well against the Broncos. Now, this comment, Martin Ingram, our number 2 receiver. I don't think he was our number 2 receiver, but he did stay healthy.
He only missed Martin. He only missed Martin or Martina. Yeah, I'm not sure. Martin. He only missed 1 game from injury.
Yeah.
And even when he was healthy, he got out
Well, he
snapped
says he stayed
by Adam
relatively healthy all
Troutman
year.
pretty routinely. And yeah, I think maybe he should have been their number 2 receiver or their number 2 option. And I don't know what happens behind closed doors. You know, Sean Payton and Evan Ingram himself got us really excited about the fact that Ingram was in that room. He had 1 touchdown all season. I think he finished with under 500 receiving yards. He did not have the impact that a lot of us hoped for and that a lot of us expected. So, yeah, I think he might be a casualty in terms of releasing him or cutting him. I don't know what his trade market is like, or if someone's going to float you like a 5th or 6th round pick for Evan Ingram. Yeah, he underperformed, whether it was on him or it was the play calling or it was on Bo or it was a combo. You didn't get nearly enough out of him this year.
No, we didn't, and I stand by what I said earlier. I think they were just underutilized. I didn't see a lot of plays that looked like they were set up to go to the tight end. But what do I know? Yeah, Martin, I got you number 3. Sorry. So number 2 would have been Franklin this year. Arguably, maybe should have been Mims, because again, he showed when Patrick went out, Mims went like 8 for 8 and 90 something yards in a game. Like, maybe use this guy. Again, it goes back to that room. We do have some players there. Let me get to this one by Clay. Lombardi's not a scapegoat. He's just a translator for Paytonese. This is a sign that Payton is looking to be challenged and advance the system forward with new ideas. Thoughts on that?
I hope so, Clay. I hope you're spot on.
You didn't give me time to drink. Usually you don't shut up. I just tried to take a drink, figuring you were going to go off on something.
That was pretty straightforward. I hope that's the case.
Your assignment going forward is when you see me like reach for my drink, that you just yap for like 30 seconds. Let's try it.
Well, I've been looking at myself and not at you, so I honestly have no idea when you would be drinking. Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't do the show with just a mirror in front of you, just so you can yourself.
How do you know that I don't? You don't know what's behind my computer.
I've never been in that room. I don't know you. Nitro, new one. Sean Payton looks like he's hunting for a younger version of himself. Longtime OC options average 55, but the newer interviews around 38. Sean was 38 when he started calling plays in New York. Good stuff. I'll take your word for it. I think he made a statement the other day that as he gets older, Sean Payton and I are the same age. So as we get older, we start to reflect on like mistakes we've made and avoiding them, other than going for it. I think was his thing. Like, oh man, last time I did this, and he admitted that he's getting a little conservative. And so there might be some truth to what Nitro is saying here. Maybe he needs somebody younger saying, dude, do you see what Bo does in the 4th quarter every week? Like, maybe a little more of that. Like, why do we have to wait till the last minute to open things up when Bo literally does that better than he does anything else, Mario?
So true. Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? Oh my gosh. Vic needs to get Ingram more involved. I do. And he agreed with himself, or whatever that.
Not a boy, Vic. I agree with myself all the time.
I know you do. Vicious. Do we think Troy will continue to take a step forward? Yes, I do. No, I don't think that's a ceiling. Asking because I want Dobbs to come in. What do you think of Dobbs coming in, first of all? And what do you think of this comment on Troy? I disagree a lot. Troy Franklin showed me a lot this year. His first year, he looked really scared and really young. And once you get a case of the drops, it's in your head. It's like getting, the shanks, the yips in golf. Once you get them, you just got to work your way through them. I think he did that this year. What did he have, a hammy later in the year? Wasn't it Franklin who was dealing with a hammy? So no, I don't think he has reached anywhere near his ceiling. He looks like a little playmaker to me. In fact, I call him little, Mario, for some reason, but isn't he like 6'2" or something? He's
I
not
mean,
some
he's
little.
tall.
He's
He's
tall.
wiry. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he is
wiry.
wide.
He's
But I mean,
6'2",
I
but
thought
he's like a
for
buck
some reason
75.
he's so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason he's so fast and quick that I assumed he was like 5'10" or something. But he's not. He's a taller receiver. I think he's. I think we got something in Franklin. And Dobbs. Anything on Dobbs?
I
We got
mean,
Dobbs here.
I think Dobbs is fine. Maybe he got lost in the shuffle a little bit in Green Bay. My only thing is like, do you need a Dobbs on this roster? You know, do you need a guy with his skill set when you could have what could potentially be a better version of Dobbs in Pat Bryant if he continues to progress and continues to grow and is able to stay healthy? I know he got bit by the injury bug a little bit towards the
Yeah.
end. And then the reason that they like, and we talked about this earlier, where you said, you know, Sean Payton, George Payton, they said they like the receiver room. They like the room. They like the room because they have a guy. Like all of their receivers are different. They have a lot of diversity in that room where everyone kind of excels at different things. You know, Marvin Mims is kind of the gadget guy. He's good after the catch. Franklin is the burner. You can take the top off. Pat Bryant's a phenomenal possession receiver. Above average and run after the catch. Cortland Sutton's the big body receiver, the possession receiver. So if you're like everybody in that room kind of does something different. And I don't know how much value Dobbs would bring. And I
Yeah.
only say that like I think Dobbs is a good receiver. I have nothing against him, but I think in the big picture, he would get lost in the shuffle again in Denver. He strikes me as the kind of guy that wants to go somewhere and be a definitive number one wide receiver. I don't think that he would be that here. I think
Mm.
it would him here would be like him in Green Bay. He's getting lost in the shuffle. He'll have some games where he's the leading receiver, and he'll have some games where he's getting 1, 2, maybe 3 targets. This is why that I'm pushing so hard for like a true wide receiver one. And again, that's not a slight against Cortland Sutton either. I think once upon a time, Cortland Sutton was the wide receiver one. And you could even make the argument that he wasn't even necessarily the number one wide receiver this season because throughout the entire year, you know, I think Franklin had just as many receptions as Cortland, if not a little bit more. Troy Franklin had just as many yards. I think he was right up there. Like he was leading in touchdowns for a while. And I think that you need a guy, you know, like a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a Puka Nacua, a JSN. Not saying that you can trade for those guys if they're even available, but like a definitive number one game breaker, playmaker. And that's the guy that they don't have. And if they bring Romeo Dobbs in, he's not necessarily going to be that guy.
Yeah, I said it before. I agree with you 100%. The team needs a number one, like the other team has to game plan for this guy kind of wide receiver. The room is fine. It's just missing that one piece. So it's not going to, you know, somebody's going to have to go, whoever that'll be. I don't know. But I would love to have that for Bo and for this offense, and then to utilize the tight end position. But I would like to ask you, have you heard of Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State, Mario?
Yes, and anybody that follows me on Twitter knows that I had an unhealthy infatuation with Nick Singleton last year. And before he made the stupid decision to go back to school and completely ruin his draft stock, I was pounding the table for the Broncos to take Nicholas Singleton. Goes back to Penn State, has a horrible year compared to the previous year. And then breaks his foot at the Senior Bowl. Who knows how long that's going to keep
Which
him
is
out
just what we
for.
need, is another running back with a broken foot on this team.
Yeah, another player, period, with a
Another
broken foot.
player, yeah.
Maybe now Singleton falls in the draft as a result of that. You know, I don't think he'll be able to go full bore at the combine. I mean, that's 3 months away. Maybe
Yeah.
he's fully recovered, but it just kind of depends on the nature of the break, how his recovery goes. And honestly, if I could give him advice from a body worker standpoint, I would say don't do the combine. You know, hold off,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
have a later pro day. Because by the time that the combine comes around, he would have, you know, best case scenario, just fully recovered. And there's a difference between working out to recover and working out to improve. Right. And that's why when these guys have serious injuries like the torn ACLs and the ruptured Achilles and everything, like what we saw with Javante, it usually takes them about a full year and a half to kind of get back to where they were. It took Javonte longer because we saw, the version of Javonte we saw in Dallas. All the Bronco fans knew that that's what he was capable of, and that's what they were hoping that he would do the year before. But because they had rushed him back the year after his injury, it impeded his progress. And so, yeah, all this to just say, like, there's a difference in recovery work and actual training. And so maybe Singleton drops down the board and we can go get him, but really a bummer for him. But still, a guy that I think profiles better and will have a better pro career than he did a college career. I think he's listed at 6'2", 225. Probably would have run a sub 4.40, if not like right around 4.4, which at that size is tremendous.
Like what I'm hearing.
And I'll still pound the table for him, but it'll just kind of be like a light wrapping of the table rather than pounding.
What about there's some free agents out there? Breece Hall. Are we still interested in Breece Hall?
Yeah, I love Breece Hall, and you know what? I don't know what his stock looks like to other teams. I would assume, like, from the outside looking in, that this is the lowest that his stock has ever been and will ever be, because he was with the complete dog poop franchise that did not know how to use him correctly. You bring in Aaron Rodgers. I thought it would do wonders for his value, and I think they tried to justify bringing in Aaron Rodgers by having Rodgers throw the ball entirely too much that season, to the point where they completely got away from Breece Hall. And so Breece Hall hasn't had like a truly dominant season in the past few years. And so maybe his value is down. I love Breece Hall. I think he would be fantastic here. But I like Tyler Algier just a little bit more in free agency, simply because I was pounding the table for this team to trade for Algier last year. Now you have the opportunity to sign him to a 4-year, $25 million deal and basically be that J.K. Dobbins. And here's the thing. I know there's so many people that want J.K. Dobbins back, and I'm not necessarily taking my name out of that hat. My thing is, like, you can't rely on him to play an entire season. Bring him back at the vet minimum or just above it. Get what you can out of him, but you have to have a contingency plan. And that was one of their biggest failures, is they did not have a contingency plan for when J.K. Dobbins got hurt. Their running game suffered tremendously once he went down, because they didn't have another J.K. Dobbins type. So you go out, bring back Dobbins for another 1-year deal, and go get a Tyler Algier who is very, very similar to J.K. Dobbins, except better, in my opinion. He's just been lost behind the greatest running back in the league right now. But if you go back to his rookie year, Algier rushed for 1,000 yards on a bad Atlanta Falcons team and was maybe the quietest 1,000-yard season that we've ever seen. And then, of course, they draft Bijan Robinson. His touches suffered tremendously. But I think Algier has another 5, 6, 7 really good years in him. He's a very good running back.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens.
I like how it says Mario's way too early draft picks, and I'm talking about free agents, because you put a quarter in and the whole song's got to play. You distracted me.
I'm running the show, so shut up.
Okay.
There's a method. Now, okay, here, just so I can squirrel. Okay, there you go. Algier, chances he's going to be like they won't re-sign him there. Do you think he's going to test the market? Or you think? So, anyways, I know you don't watch my
for him to test.
I know you don't watch my show.
Here's the thing, Mike. They're going to have to pay Bijan Robinson. They're going to have to.
Yeah.
And if Tyler Algier, A, wants to be the running back one somewhere, and B, wants like borderline running back one money, if you're the Falcons and you've already allocated way too much money to Kirk Cousins, are you going to spend that much money on 2 running backs? I think that you give him the pitch of, you know what? RJ Harvey is really the only other running back in our stable right now. You kind of saw how we used him. We want to use you the same way that we used J.K. Dobbins, who was the 5th leading rusher in the league at the point that he got hurt. We think that you're more explosive. We think that you fit our offense even better than he did. You can be the bell cow. You can finish top 5 in rushing. and we're going to give you that opportunity. And by the way, here's some Walmart money for you. So I think it'll just depend on the pitch. I would be surprised if Algier goes back, simply because he's not getting the touches that he deserves in Atlanta. And as long as Bijan is there, which he should be there for his entire career, unless the Falcons pull a Giants and, have a monumental fuck up in that department. But if I'm Algier, I'm wanting more targets and more touches. You're not getting that if you're sharing a backfield with Bijan.
So Algier, here's what I'll say. If the Broncos decide to go get Tyler Algier, I think they could do that. But if they do, I don't think they'll bring Dobbins back. I think what they would do would be bring Algier back and then draft a running back who's not 5'8", 205, which we have an abundance of those guys.
Yeah, way too many.
So I know you don't watch any other shows, but literally last night, I said the exact same thing. I said the problem wasn't getting J.K. Dobbins. He was fantastic until week 10. He was over 5 yards a carry. He was everything is advertised. But we knew going in, he's never played a full season. And
he's on borrowed time, yeah.
And George Payton and Sean Payton committed a felony by not properly having a backup running back who could maybe fill that one role good enough to get us through. They did not do that, and we ended up with a bunch of change of pace backs and no 1 through 3 down. We didn't have that between the tackles kind of get me 4th and 1 rusher. You went from 5 yards a carry to just over 3 yards a carry with RJ, and I'm a huge RJ fan, but it's a different role. It's a different position. So I can see them bringing back JK and drafting a running back, or I can see him go out and get a Tyler Algier and have and draft somebody. But I can't see Dobbins and Algier on the same team. Now, I would like to remind you that Javonte Williams is now a free agent this year.
I would be shocked if the Cowboys didn't retain him, and he worked really well in Dallas and he seemed to like it. That would work. Like, if that's the version of Javonte that we would be getting, like what you saw last season, I'm completely on board for that, because I love Javonte. We all love Javonte. We wished him well. And honestly, he far exceeded my expectations. I had just succumbed to the idea that he would never be the same again, and he proved us wrong. Now, if you miss on, potentially bringing in Javonte Williams back, and we're talking about addressing it in the draft, a name that I want everybody to familiarize themselves with, and Mike, you're going to love this guy if you go watch his film and you want a big running back. Yeah, Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas, 6'2", 228, runs likely a sub 4.5 40, runs angry behind his pads, bit of a fumbling problem, but that's something that can be coached up. Exactly the kind of player that you want to have as a complementary piece to RJ Harvey, and honestly as a complementary piece to like a Tyler Algier type, or even like a J.K. Dobbins, if that's the route that they go down. He's just a big, strong, physical, like bully of a running back who is way faster than you realize watching his film, because it's like he's moving. It's kind of like Derrick Henry, and I'm not going to compare him obviously to Derrick Henry, but in terms of like size and speed, it never looks like Derrick Henry is running that fast because he's so damn big. That's kind of what you get out of Mike Washington, where you're like, you don't realize how quickly he's moving because he's so big.
And I don't do the draft stuff. I don't do the stuff. But Mike Singleton Jr. Out of Arkansas, and this is just off the top of my head.
Mike Washington, not
Mike Washington Jr.
You said Singleton. It was a Freudian slip, and I'm still bummed about it. So let's
try
to
I was going to talk to you about Singleton on the show tonight, but since you never shut up, I didn't get a chance to get to it. But Mike Washington.
Speak about Singleton.
He's out of Arkansas, and I'm just saying this off the top of my head. So I mean, this dude's a load. He runs behind his pads. He's exactly the type of the Broncos need, like a big, strong, physical. He's 6'2", 228. He'll probably run a sub 4.5 40. sign me up for that. I'm all down.
Yes,
I'm about that.
that sounds good.
And it sounds like a tweet that you made 23 hours ago, because I just read
Sounds
that
like something I literally just said too. Yeah.
So I've just done all my draft prep for the year. You're welcome, Broncos country. Don't
That's
tune
all
in
you
to
need.
Mile High Monsters for draft prep. I will bring them on the show and let them talk about it. Can I ask you about what we're going to do before I let you go? Now, I have issues with Vance Joseph. Okay.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Well, this is at least the second year of late season collapses, and I hated what he said about it's hard to coach later in the year because everybody knows what you're doing, and they can plan for you. I didn't like that statement. It's like, well, do something different that they can't plan for. So I don't like the fact that other teams can march up and down the field between the 20s, and then we depend on red zone. Sometimes it works really good. In fact, we won 14 games that way. So I don't hate it. Bring them back. Don't bring them back. But the inside linebacker position specifically is what I want to talk to you about. Now, I thought the Dre Greenlaw was a great signing at the time that it happened, and I still believe that it will pay dividends given another year in the system. He had trouble picking up the system. Okay, yeah,
and he admitted to that.
Yeah, he admitted that, and that's why I can say that with confidence. He said it was like learning Spanish or something. So I'll give you that for your first year. Plus, he was injured. Now, Alex Singleton is a love him or hate him guy in Broncos country, and honestly, I've kind of gone back and forth between those two. I don't think I've ever hated him, but I've hate's a strong word, but I've been like, no, man, he gets people in the right place, and he's not missing tackles anymore. And sure, he can't cover a wheel route, but maybe that's not the biggest thing. And then other times I've been like, we got to get this guy off the field and get Sternad out there. So I've been through all those emotions. Now he is 30 something, 32 maybe.
I think he's 32. Old. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Free agent. I guess what would you like to see there? Would you, if he goes out and tests the market, maybe he comes back on a team friendly deal. But we need to be shopping for draft help or help there or something, right? What do you see? I guess what would be your realistic dream scenario for the Broncos at that position this year? Because I think it's our biggest weakness on defense.
Yeah. I mean, you put the caveat of realistic, and I don't know how realistic it is, but the name at the top of the free agency list, regardless of position for me, is Devin Lloyd. Loved him coming out of Utah. Total playmaker, absolute dog on defense. I think smart enough to pick up the Vance Joseph defense relatively quickly. And I think you're then turning like one of your biggest weaknesses into one of your biggest strengths, and you pair him with Dre Greenlaw. I think that is a tremendous improvement to what you have to the room. And honestly, that's not even a slight on Singleton. You're talking about a guy in Devin Lloyd who early in the season was being talked about as a defensive player of the year candidate, and I think would fit really well in this Vance Joseph defense where hyper athletic linebacker, sideline to sideline, much better in coverage than Alex Singleton, a plus blitzer. And I've said it a couple of times, but I'm just going to reiterate. You're finding out where Devin Lloyd lives, and you are driving a literal Brinks truck to his house. You're backing it into his driveway, and you are dumping that money right there in front of him. And you say, whatever you want, we got you. So I think that's the number one way to address it. And I think you do need to take a middle linebacker at some point in the draft. Jacob Rodriguez is a name that really, really intrigues me. Statistically, one of the best linebackers in college football this past season. The problem is that he is a first-round talent and a fifth-round body. Now, if this guy was 6'3", 245, 235-ish, like your run-of-the-mill size of a modern-day NFL linebacker, I think not only is he a first-round pick, he's probably a top 10 pick.
What is he, though?
But he's very
What are
I
his
want to
issues?
say he's like 6 foot 220, 225, something like that. He's undersized to be a middle linebacker, but man, pull up some clips of him at the Senior Bowl. He plays so much bigger than his size. The question is, will his size affect the way that he plays in the NFL? I don't think that it's going to make him a worse football player. Maybe he gets bullied every once in a while, but he's so smart, he's so physical, he is always around the ball, always making a play. And so realistic, I guess sort of realistically, and like best case scenario for me is you bring back Stranad. I know someone had said that he would like to be a starting linebacker at some point, so maybe let him test the market. And if he get signed as a starting linebacker somewhere, awesome. Good for you, Justin. Thank you for your service. If not, you bring him back here because at the very least, you can have rotational defenses where he's getting good snaps. He's a core special teamer. And then you have Devin Lloyd, Dre Greenlaw going forward, and then Jacob Rodriguez to kind of get into the mix. And then
Is
should I address
Devin
this
Lloyd?
really quick?
Yeah, in a second. Is Devin
Okay.
Lloyd a free agent? Did I miss that part where he is?
He is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alec Pierce. What are your thoughts on that? I've seen that name's been coming up and floated to me on several shows. What's the deal with Alec Pierce?
I love Alec Pierce. Very physically gifted guy, like goes 6'4", I want to say like 220-ish. Burner speed, like really good deep threat. I think my issue it's kind of the same issue that I have with Dobbs is like any receiver that they're pursuing to join this current room, I think that he just needs to be a star. He needs to be a definitive alpha wide receiver one. And while I think Alec Pierce is a phenomenal wide receiver in his own right, he is a really good wide receiver 3 and a really good, maybe even wide receiver 2. But he's gotten lost in the shuffle. Like Michael Pittman is outperforming him, and he's kind of one of those borderline wide receiver ones.
Okay.
And, Pierce isn't getting more targets than him. Josh Downs, I think, is a more complete wide receiver than Alec Pierce. I think what people love about Alec Pierce is he's got the splash plays. Like he could take the top off of a defense. He's the one that caught that absurd pass from Anthony Richardson, I want to say, early in 2 seasons ago, where like the ball carried like 65 yards in the air and Alec Pierce just ran by everybody. So again, a solid receiver. I just don't know where he fits with this specific room going forward.
This Jags receiver, Washington? Is that
Parker
right?
Washington.
Like, is there a way we could like kill someone and steal him and bring him in?
He's fun, man. He is
what a fun
receiver.
player he is, man.
Yeah.
Good Lord. And by the way, for all of you guys, I know there's some heartbreak. A.T. Perry is gone. And I just wanted to release that news.
Pour one out for him. Yeah.
Pour one out for him. I had David on last night. I think he was actually in tears. Mark P. 2629. What was this I heard about Nix having issues with his ankles before? And some doc said the injury was just a matter of time. Is that true? No, that is not exactly true. Mario's knows more about this stuff than I do. Now, he did have a broken ankle in high school and maybe another one in college, but different injuries. It wasn't something that was determined that it was going to happen, like it was a condition. It was that the fracture had started and eventually it was just going to give out. That's all that was. So he was playing kind of on a broken ankle for a while. That's what they found. And then it eventually, just took too much pressure and it snapped in that game on a unnecessary play because that game was over on a holding in the end zone for a safety. But anyways, I digress. Did I say that about right? Dr. Martin?
I mean that's how I understand it. And I know there was a lot of stuff being thrown out, but honestly, what it sounded like, the surgeon, the doctor who performed the surgery, kind of came out and said, yeah, when we were performing the surgery, we found some things that would lend us to believe, like, yeah, it was like the structural integrity was a little bit weakened. It wasn't what it should have been. Nothing traumatic, nothing that is going to provide more of a setback than recovering from ankle surgery already was going to. It was just like there was some residual damage in there, and it just felt like one of those plays where it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, but it was also like perfectly imperfect, where it got hit at just the right slash wrong angle at just the right slash wrong velocity, and it happened to break. Now, I think the thing that we can hang our hats on, and the important thing is there's nothing chronic about it,
Right.
and you're not going to have lasting effects. He's going to recover from the ankle surgery. He's going to begin his rehab. I'm sure he'll be fine by preseason, even if you have to ease him into it. I don't think that this is going to affect his mobility. It's not going to affect his athleticism. This, we're not talking about a torn ACL. We're not talking about a ruptured Achilles. We're not talking about anything of that nature. The recovery for something like this much easier than injuries like that. Yeah, it was a slow news day, and I think they latched onto something, and rightfully, I think we could just move on from here.
I think we can too. And the beauty of this injury is the truth will fall somewhere in between the 4 to 6 weeks that Bo is saying, and a few months from what other people are saying. The good news is that he'll be at the point, as Mario pointed out earlier, practicing is one thing, practicing to get better is another, and then playing is another. He'll be able to get out there, do the walkthroughs, do the workup, the stuff. He'll be at training camp. He'll be ready to go.
He'll start his recovery
Yeah.
in probably about 2 months, and that gives him another 3 or 4 months to be ready for training camp.
T. Fishes asks about ETN. Travis
I like
Etienne.
I like Travis Etienne. I think it would be foolish for the Jaguars not to bring him back. A big reason that they drafted him in the first round all those years ago was
Miami, or was
they liked him as a Clemson. He was at Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, so they were kind of running partners. Now that they have the proper play calling in place, like you saw Trevor Lawrence kind of finally lived up to his potential. ETN broke out again after a really, really bad year last season. They drafted Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen last year, and I think there was another guy that they had signed. Tank Bigsby, I want to say, maybe is there. So they have a lot of running backs, but they don't have an ETN. I'd be surprised if they let him hit the market, but if he does, like I like ETN. My only issue is he's more similar to RJ Harvey in terms of what he gives you than I would like.
Exactly.
I think you need a chain mover, like less of a finesse guy and more of a power guy, to put it in layman's terms.
So you are. We talked about this earlier in the week. An hour and 16 minutes, precariously close to breaking the all-time record of 120. Should we cut off before we do and go for it later? Let's see if we can get through these comments, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Greenlaw 6 feet. Jake, it was 6'1". Okay, T Fishes, whatever. Were you actually laughing your ass off, or did you just write that? You're my guy. I'm just messing with you. Alec Pierce staying in Indy. We'll see. Pierce not moving. Okay, a lot of people saying that. Can Q Robinson play inside linebacker? Man, I'll tell you what, from what I saw, it looks like he can play just about anywhere, but there's more to playing linebacker than just being an awesome athlete. What are your thoughts on maybe, what happens every time we try to take a player and put them in a different position?
I'm keeping him at edge. He flashed big time. I think once he really learns how to rush the passer, he could be a really good edge rusher. And I think inherently he has a lot more value. They already moved Drew Sanders to inside linebacker, and that's kind of an anomaly. I don't know if we'll ever see Drew Sanders on the field and what's going on with that.
Is the Drew Sanders experiment over?
We'll see. I have no idea. I don't know what to think of him. But I wouldn't move Q personally.
No, I think he's. I saw a cool. I guess Kodiak did a little workup on him, and wow, he's a playmaker. So looking forward, I think that might turn out to be something there. Omar Cooper Jr. is a Parker Washington comp. Who is Omar Cooper Jr.? Do we know?
Yeah, he's a wide receiver for Indiana. That's actually a good comp. I really like Omar Cooper. Catches everything. Unbelievable yak ability. Yeah, probably would be a Z receiver in this offense. But yeah, I do like Cooper, and I think that is a very viable option if the Broncos choose to take a receiver in the second round.
Uh, uh,
Yeah,
probably
Wandale Robinson, just
the
insert what I said about Dobbs and what I said about Pierce. Good wide receiver, not a true one. He's fine.
All right. Chat, you're not going to stop. I know that. So I'm going to have to stop you. As always, ever imagine that this time of day, somehow, you guys make time for us here at the Monsters. It's probably
Go to
just
work.
Mario's here.
Why
Yeah,
aren't you
don't you
working?
people have homes?
Go take care of your kids, people.
So for Mile High
That's what I'm
Mario,
about to go do.
get over to Let's Talk Broncos. It looks like the stream was set up for both channels, which is awesome. So altitude adjustment with Patrick Chiotti and Mario Vitanzi is probably certainly top three Broncos show. Mario would tell you it's the best. I don't have swag from him, so I can't wear it. This is Mile High Monsters. If you are subscribed to one or the other, take the time to subscribe to both. We all work together. I do shows with Let's Talk Broncos at least two times a week, and so yeah, we love talking ball with you guys. I can't thank Mr. Mario Vitanzi enough for making time in your busy day. What a pleasure to see you. We didn't do a cold open, which is weird because we usually try and do something really stupid and cold, but we didn't have time.
We even had time to prepare since we bumped back the start of the show.
15 minutes.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't bother to come up with anything. They always go so well.
It does. And it's an hour and 20 minutes, and it's a new record. So I will see all of you tomorrow on something. Mario will see you all on Tuesday night on Altitude Adjustment. So for Mario, I'm the Mile High Monster. Bye. See you later.